I'm black. Yes. And I'm proud of being black. Absolutely. And I was born black. I will die black. And I'm not going to make any excuses for anybody. Am I black enough for you? Am I black enough for you?
Am I black enough for you? Am I black enough for you? I have not followed this 8OS track that you're referring to, so I don't know what that all entails. But of course, I've heard conversations about Kamala being black enough, but it wasn't in the context of 8OS, ADOS. And I think that there's other issues here that people are reacting to. Again, I'm not coming from an 8OS perspective. I don't know that perspective as well as you. But I think there's people who don't trust Kamala because she has a white husband. And I think they're questioning her commitment to black people,
which is stupid,
and black issues,
which is stupid.
But okay, well, stupid is one way of looking at it.
I'm gonna call it stupid.
No, okay, but let me finish.
Harry Belafonte's had two white wives.
Exactly.
We know he black, but go ahead.
Exactly.
Okay. Well, I think it's important, as I was telling the producer earlier, that we actually unpack and dialogue around why people have the perspective that they have, because we can call them name and call them stupid, but that's not going to transform them. From their perspective has merit. And I think we should engage it. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, so don't make any assumptions about me. But when you live in a society where white men have killed, continue to kill as cops in any other ways they can, have lynched, have castrated, have done damage to black men, there's a knee-jerk reaction among some black people about, wait a minute, how are you going to be, quote-unquote, with somebody who looks like these people that have done harm to us? Now, that might be a quote-unquote stupid reaction if you come from a place of intellectual analysis. But if you come from a place of trauma and emotional reaction to the assault on black people, you question it. Also, let me finish. Also, some of the reactions that people had to the debate, if I'm not mistaken, because I didn't watch the whole thing, but I think there was one section where a white woman named Joan Baez, what was her name? Marion Anderson?
Marion Williamson.
Marion Williamson brought up reparations for a split second. And I was quickly interrupted.
The line cause has to do with deep, deep, deep realms of racial injustice, both in our criminal justice system and in our economic system. And the Democratic Party should be on the side of reparations for slavery for this very reason. I do not believe that the average American is a racist, but the average American is woefully undereducated about the history of race in the United States.
Ms. Williamson, thank you very much.
Vice President Biden, we're going to get to you. Hang on, we're going to get to
you. Stage, I would like to speak on the issue of race.
By Kamala, who talked about a childhood busing experience. And people interpreted that a certain way that may be behind, I don't know, some of these ADOS reactions that are coming off as being so-called black enough. I mean, Colin Kaepernick is half white. As far as I'm concerned, you can't get more black affirming than the behavior that he did.
Colin Kaepernick is half white.
We can go on.
Jesse Williams, half white. We can go down. We can name a lot of half white people.
Barack Obama,
half white. Hell, black people love Halle Berry, half white.
Well, right, but
and let's look at all the black men who are married to or either having sex with white women.
Well, that's a whole.
Let's just be real.
Well, that's a whole other issue. Let's talk about it contextually. I mean,
no.
I'm not sure it's
who she is married to ain't got a damn thing to do with policy. Because here's why: the same people who are critical of Harris for her policies, do they love Obama? He had a black wife, so. Having a black wife or a white husband ain't got jack to do. She is running for president. And my deal is, I'm not going to sit in, well, you married a white man. Look, first of all, that's who she married. Ain't got nothing to do with me. I married a black woman.
Like I said before, you can easily intellectually do an analysis like that. But people's reactions to this is based on people needing behavioral proof that people have their back as black people.
It would be nice if people would form their opinions based on logic and fact.
Yeah, it would be.
That would be a refreshing change here.
And trauma interrupts that.
Well, maybe they need to go to a therapist then. Maybe let's suggest they all go to therapists. The stuff about who Kamala married. Number one, she didn't get married till she was 50. And I can tell you she dated a lot of black guys. So let's just say something right here. With all these black men, like a Dr. Boyce Watkins, who wants to conjecture around how could she, what is the reason, why did she marry a white man when his own damn daughter married a white man? Maybe it's the same reason his daughter married a white man, perhaps.
Damn.
It ain't none of your business. That's the answer, number one. That's the answer. And number two, the bottom line is, as you mentioned, this woman has gotten where she is on her own. A lot of times when people bring things like this up, it's because of the sexist notion that the only way an intelligent woman can get somewhere is if she got there from having a sex with a man, or because of her proximity to white male power. This is the sort of the innuendo that a lot of people are raising when they raise that issue.
We had Willie Brown on here, and of course, they dated. And first of all, if anybody wants to understand California politics, Brooke, one of the most powerful people in California politics for the last 40 plus years is Willie Brown, a black man. But Brooke, the problem I have are the people who literally are having this blackness conversation. Well, so-and-so went to a private school. They ain't really black. So-and-so grew up in an upper middle class neighborhood. They ain't really black. Uh-oh, you in Jack and Jill. You ain't really black. You in a fraternity sorority. You ain't really black. All these people out here even holler, you in the boule. You ain't really black. You have all these folks who want to start assigning who's not really black to determine whether or not you really down with the cause. And that's just asinine.
Absolutely. It's absolutely ridiculous. It is internalized racism that I think just perpetuates white supremacy on a larger scale. That's absolutely just completely what this is. And there's a bit of sexism in it. And I'm glad you brought up, one of the main people complaining about this, her daughter married a white person. So it has nothing, it's performative. Part of it is performative. And I don't believe that people who are perpetuating this horrible conspiracy deserve any time. We shouldn't listen to them. I don't think we should have those conversations, because I don't think your trauma or what you believe is your trauma is an excuse to abuse someone else and create trauma on them. Now we are having national conversations debating her identity.
I know some individuals personally, who say that, wait a minute, my mama's black, my dad is white, or my dad is white, mom's black, or whatever, and they said, why can't I simply say, I'm biracial? Why do I have to pick? I'm saying that because we are going to have more and more people who are like this here.
You sure are.
And what we are seeing here is a dynamic where you ain't really black, you ain't really black. And that's, to me, it's nonsensical.
Okay, Roland, let me say something and make something very clear here. First of all, I am with ADOS, and ADOS is not my frame of reference. And one of my critiques of ADOS, which is why I'm not with ADOS, is what you broke down in terms of the fact that they're trying to be divisive and separate black people based on where the boat landed during the enslavement period. And I don't agree with separating us along those lines. So I want to make that clear. I also want to say that black people live in a context where there's been intergenerational media and institutional rejection of black people, mistreatment of black people, and black people who have passed and then all kinds of stuff that was anti-black, including marrying white folks as an anti-black reaction. And when I was an undergraduate, I did a whole research project on interracial attitudes and why black people make the choices they make. And I won't get into that right now, but a lot of the reasons why black people make those choices were anti-black. And the people who were white in my sample, their reasons for being with black were not anti-black. It was based on fetish and all kinds of other kind of things. But there's lots of anti-black attitudes in this society. What's going on with some of these people who are not good at articulating what's happening with them, they're more immediate in terms of what's on the surface, is they're concerned about people's behavior that looks like it might be rejecting of them as black people. That is a legitimate perspective. It might be dysfunctionally acted out sometimes. And also, we're living in a time now where the media and corporate America is disproportionately pushing biracial families, biracial relationships, black man with white woman. If you watch TV right now and get your calculator, you'll find very few black-on-black relationships when it comes to black-on-black love and the affirmation of that capacity in the media landscape. So there's people reacting to that. There's people who are skeptical because of the attack on black and black love, which Ray Charles can see that's happening in the media and that's being pushed by corporate America. I went to a tire shop the other day, as I said on your show before, and I saw a tire advertising where there was a brother who looked like me with a child. It was just him and that child who was clearly half white. And these are models. These aren't real families. These are contrived, put together situations that somebody intended to put together. So some black people, including Cleo Manago, who's concerned about this biracial push that's implying that black people loving each other is not as valuable as black people loving white people. That's a real agenda that's happening. So there's people who are looking at, whether they're wrong or right, looking at the likes of Kamala, who from their perspective interrupted the reparations conversation during the debate. Like, where is she coming from?
This is self-hate cloaked in self-love. And if you told, I didn't say all the time, but I'm saying this here. If you told me, Roland, you got to pick this ADOS person whose history and their concern ain't got a damn thing to do fighting for the liberation of black people, but this cat who's from Haiti or Jamaica or from an African country, and they are ready to stand side by side with you, guess who I'm going to pick? The person who's fighting for freedom.
Absolutely.
And so what I'm trying to get people to understand is you might be an American descendant of a slave, and you might not give a damn about black people. And so we've got to stop this whole. It's like, well, no, this is who I am.
This conversation can't be centered around ADOS. They are a.
No. I'm only mentioning that because I'm also expanding it, Avis, because what we are dealing with, and I keep saying on the show, why we have to have a retraining, a reprogramming of Black America. Because when you have a level of self-hate, all of a sudden it begins to, well, no, y'all ain't one of us. So you go over there. When it's some folk on our side who ain't down with us. That's why I use Clarence Thomas.
Absolutely. And as you mentioned, I think it makes sense and it's logical to critique every candidate on their record. But let's critique every candidate on their record. And what I am seeing is some interesting folk fixation on Kamala that I am not seeing on anyone else. Guess what? Newsflash, she's not the only prosecutor running.
Oh, right.
Number one.
Klobuchar
was
a prosecutor, record. And you also don't have the same attacks on Senator Cory Booker that you have with Harris.
Absolutely. Who authored the crime bill? Who authored the crime bill? It was
Joe Biden.
Joe Biden. Okay, so I think, and what does a prosecutor do? I have they actually enforce the darn laws. Okay, so they enforce the laws that are on the book. So I think it's very interesting to me that she has been singularly fixated on by this group from day one. It's not just from this particular debate. It's from the moment that she announced.
When you get right down to this question, whether it's the question about, who's black enough and who's not, or it's the question about our actual black agenda, the main thing that we have to answer is who do we think that we are? Because I have worked with thousands of black leaders now, and I've worked with thousands of white leaders now, and when you ask them the question about black America and how they define black America, both white liberals and black liberals, for lack of a better word, black progressives, they all define us according to some type of dysfunction, some moment in our past, like slavery, some nonsense about whether we're at risk, high crime, absent file, all that rhetoric is repeated by both our friends and our foes and by us. When in reality, we all got excited about $1 billion grossing movie called Black Panther because it depicted black folks from a wealthy nation that had educated women leading and dedicated black men committed to the community and the country. And they were all tech savvy and they were cool and they were brilliant. And by the way, everything that I just named about that mythical place called Wakanda is true of black people in America. We're a $1.2 trillion economy. Our women are among the most educated in the country. The black men are the most dedicated fathers according to the CDC. Black folks love tech because we do it all the time. Where the arbiters are cool and fashion. So everything that we loved about this mythical place, we actually have. We just don't act like we have it. We don't talk about ourselves and we don't define ourselves in the truth that is us. And we're at a point now where so much has changed in our context then we have to update our narrative. And I think the right way to update it is to start off by telling the truth about black people as actually aspiring and accomplished beings, because we've been that. We've been assets in this country, literally, since the day we got here.
Self-hate is not black people's fault. Self-hate is not a intellectual choice that someone made on a Thursday because I hate myself on Friday.
Right.
Self-hate is a consequence of environment in white supremacist culture called the United States of America, which is why I mentioned the media and all those influences. It's important, what you just said is so key. And it's more important than getting mad at black people for being confused, which they did not choose to be because they don't even know they're confused. It's creating that model, that deprogramming, what I call trance-breaking strategy. My work is built around trance-breaking because we're in a trance. When somebody is grown and calls somebody the N-word and then has to step back and go, why did I do that? And going through all these psychological dynamics, it's because they're in a white supremacy trauma trance. So it's not helpful if somebody's in a trance to re-traumatize them with name calling, with assaults, with getting mad at them for being. See that?
Go ahead.
That ain't helpful. That's not helpful, Roland. We need to do things.
But they might break them from their trance.
No, it doesn't. We need to do stuff that's going to deflect trauma and that's going to create a space to actually critically self-evaluate.
Okay, I'm not going to call you stupid. I'm going to say you sick as hell.
Well,
is that better?
Well, your neck was still doing the other.
What? I can't even attitude to it.
You have to come off as if you give a damn.
I do give a damn.
I know you give a damn.
You sick as hell.
I know you care. That's what's ironic about your approach. I know you, Roland. I know you care. I don't care what nobody call you, whatever. I know for a fact that you are in love with black people and you about the affirmation and the advancement of black people. But I'm asking you to consider, and we should do a show on this, as strategies to do trans-breaking work.